A19.
All right. Hello, hashtag Burst TV family, and welcome. I'm Aaron Mack, and this week we have Tyla Breakfast. Subtitle Colored with a U. Coming from TMZ.com. It's everywhere right now. It's all the rage on social media, but we pulled this particular article from TMZ.com. Tyla Breakfast, hashtag BurstTV, A19A, and hashtag kinda curated, subtitle parenting from at tonight's conversation, hashtag BurstTV, A19B. And for part C, hashtag underrated hype, TV A19, Love Never Dies by Patti LaBelle from her Burnin' album circa 1991. And you can find that on at underrated hype TV and hashtag Verse TV A19C. All right, so this is hashtag Verse TV 267, week A. Guess what? 19, A19. So, yes, welcome. And the randomly selected question of the day, which has been waiting for you, is what's the best advice someone has ever given you? I think it would be related to love, living love. I will see this. This is something that has stuck with me over the years. Friend of the family, Gaio, actually, when I came out to her years ago, she was one of the early people I came out to. I came out to my mom first, and I also came out to her, and I also came out to my uncle. Those were early people. Anyway, but yeah, I she told me to live your truth. And that has really stuck with me over the years. That's why everything that I say and do relates to living your truth. Live your truth. Be who you are. God only made, and okay, I know I'm getting a little religious right now. I did make it back from the gym in time for church largely today. So, yes, there's only one of you. Whether or not you believe in the higher power, and I was talking with a friend of mine about that, and we think differently, but we're still able to be friends. And whatever your position is on belief in a higher power, there's only one of you in this world. So it is important to live your truth. Be, and I believe in God Almighty. Hallelujah. I keep looking up. When I look up, I'm looking up to God Almighty and I'm looking up to my mommy. Hmm. Don't get me. Oh my gosh, we're already covering the song Love Never Dies today. So don't even get me started. But yes, live your truth. Be who you are. Live authentically yourself because there's only one of you. There are billions of people on this planet, on this beautiful planet Earth, and there's only one of you. Okay? So, yeah, as for the randomly selected song. No, no, no. The song is not randomly selected, but for the old-ish song this week, we're sticking with Michael Bolton here, okay? We did Michael Bolton for the Underrated Hype TV last week, and then I did it for his song Soul Provider. And I didn't realize, no, he had a music video for that song. So that's why last week everything was like taking me down from the live stream. Like, no, 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 you can't play this. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize there was actually a single. Okay. This is also a single, but I'm not playing any music. So it's okay. His song. How am I supposed to live without you? Now that I've been loving you so long. And particularly, and this is why I'm featuring this song this week, because in working with setting up the Soul Provider song for Michael Bolton, I was like, I wonder if I can find that original version that I have of this song on CD, but it is not the version that they play on streaming outlets, which bothers me. And I remember, because I'm old enough to remember this, I was in my 20s and we were switching to the streaming stuff. And I remember I was streaming that particular song because I had already uploaded it to my, I think at that point it was Google Music, but uploaded it to my Google Music library because I have that CD. And I was like, but wait a minute, this isn't the version that I have on my CD. So there's something different about this. And I was like, well, I guess this is just the way. This was part of my concern. As we were making that switch, I'm giving so much chest, so much chest. My love would love it. Anyway, yes, he would. Hey, baby. Anyway, so I was like, I bet that's going to be an issue because I have a feeling that that's an example, that was an early example for me of the fact that the song selected for streaming will not always match what you have on your CD. And that's why I was like, eventually, I'm 40, right? No, actually, I'm 41. Whoops. But I eventually got into the whole streaming music, accepting that's the wave of the future and that's where things are and were and whatever. But it took me a really long time to get there. And this song was a perfect example why. Because I knew when they would switch to streaming, for the sake of space, they wouldn't make every single version available. So it's not about the version that you have, it's about the version that's available. And with that song by Michael Bolton, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? I love that song. The version that's available, I don't even know exactly, but I do know, I guess it was a later release album version that is available. And actually, it's probably, quite frankly, it was probably just simply the video version of the song. And of course, video versions, for the sake of not taking up too much time, they shorten things. And on this version, which is the 1989 LP version, no, 1988 Soul Provider LP original version of the song How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? He's got a second reprise of, and I love this, and it's so beautiful and so emotion pulling. When he says, When all that I've been living for is gone, gone without you. And like they just cut it. And I get it. Cutting things short for videos and stuff like that to make it fit better or whatever. And it's like, I get it, but with that particular song, like the emotion, he says, gone without you. It's like, I needed that. I needed that extra reprise of when all that I've been living for is gone, gone without. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep on doing this a million times, but I love that song. And when I found that in my search, and this is why I subscribe to YouTube Music. And the other music streaming platforms are cute, but it doesn't have everything. So with this, I had to pull the YouTube version that some person just randomly uploaded to YouTube. And I'm able to input it into my playlist for my YouTube music library. But if I was just doing it on streaming, I wouldn't get that. He'd only say, when all that I've been living for is gone. And that would be, and it's like, come on. Sometimes we need that second reprise, people. I get it. I get it. You have to be quick. You have to be quick and to the point. I get it. And not only do I get it, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it with this discussion. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a benefit of YouTube music for me because you can look up the classic original versions of songs, not just the standard streaming versions of the song, the album versions. You can get the original album versions of the song. And like I said, I have that original CD. I got it from a used CD store, CD Game Exchange, quite frankly. And I remember I would listen to that CD and love it. And I'd be like, yes, all that I've. And then when I started the streaming thing, it was like, wait a minute, that reprise is missing. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, share again. And please do not forget to click like. Thank you very much.
Tyla Breakfast. Subtitle Colored. TMZ.com, hashtag VerseTV A19A. Tyla, no quote colored end quote talk on Breakfast Club, tries to clarify afterward. Grammy Award-winning South African-born singer, Tyla finds herself at the crossroads of a bubbling race controversy. It all came to a head on The Breakfast Club, but she opted to plead the fifth. This is Tyla, and this video is from 3 years ago, if not 4, and I am pretty sure many of you didn't even know who Tyla was back then. The poor girl mentioned here she was also mixed with black. Hands off Tyla, please let her be. Hashtag colored, hashtag black, hashtag Tyla, hashtag trendingpic.twitter.com/MHIVKTM. Nompumalelo, Lila Lelagmailon. June 13th, 2024, Lila Lilagmail. All the chatter about her race and ethnicity started when fans discovered a TikTok Tyla made years ago. Before her Water song became an internationally known double platinum smash, where she celebrated her mixed heritage and labeled herself a proud colored South African woman. Charlemagne the God gave Tyla the floor to clarify the remark, but she bottled up and her publicist requested the question be struck from the record. Tyla's silence did her no favors.
Okay. I love the song Water, though. I've been playing that a lot, just like I've been playing How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? The original 1988 LP version. Anyway, but yes. So as for, it seems our global humanity loves our boxes. We love being able to put people in boxes. The sun. Nope, I can't reach it. So I'm sorry. You're just going to see this thing on my face, but whatever. The global humanity seems to love our boxes. We love being able to put people and things into boxes. And I remember when Mariah Carey went on George Lopez's show, because remember back in the day when George Lopez had a show like late 90s, maybe early 2000s. And one of the questions that he asked her right off the bat was, hey, so Mariah Carey, after all of these years, what's your race? It was like, that felt like such an interesting question for Queen Mariah Carey at that point in her career. But I feel that she had a great answer. I'd like to think they discussed it before the show, and she was like, okay, I've got an answer for that. But what she said was, she's like, and just simply put, so perfectly, in this country, I'm black. And it's like, oh, that's so true, because people don't understand. Race is a social construct. And I've heard people debate this in different positions and say, no, like I actually remember watching some video on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, where somebody actually broke it down, and they were like, no, race is not a social construct. Race is a real dang thing. It's really real. And I was like, okay. And the reason that I'll even emphasize my saying that race is a social construct is because of the fact that it varies by society. It varies from country to country, what's one race or another. And again, like Mariah Carey said so perfectly, she's like, yeah, in this country, I'm black. Emphasis on the fact that she's referencing this country. Because, yes, yeah, sure. Yeah, I didn't. I've been learning, right? I think I'm gonna anyway. But yes, I've been learning things, and over the years, I realize some things later than others that race is not the same in every single country. It's not. I remember this one woman at my previous position at the job back when we were all in our 20s, the whole department, we were not the whole department, but a lot of us were in our 20s. Some people were in our 30s and 40s, and I think even 50s. But whatever. I sounded like a DJ. Whatever. Anyway, oh my gosh, let me stop. So many tangents. But yes, I remember this one woman was, she was a little brown woman from Panama, right? And there was this white skinned dude from Puerto Rico. And she was like, and I still remember, I was like, that's interesting. She's like, yes, I want to let you know, name that I will not reveal. In my country, you would be considered a white man. Yes. And I remember the Puerto Rican guy was like, What are you even talking about? And this is what he said. He was like, I'm glad I'm from Puerto Rico, where we don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. I'm just who I am, whatever. And do some research, people. I won't go into all of it right here and now. Here and now. I won't go into all of it right here and now. But there is a reason that Puerto Rico is not quite the same as just everywhere else in terms of race and racial classifications and that stuff. Anyway, people love to divide themselves around the globe no matter what, but race is not the same thing in Puerto Rico. Anyway, he Yeah, I remember this, and this goes back to people being classified differently in different places. Because I remember when I was learning and falling in love with Nollywood and like watching everything Nollywood that I possibly could, there was this one Nollywood film called White Hunters. And I was like, oh, okay, what's this? And it turns out the movie White Hunters was about Nigerian women, Black Nigerian women, who specifically date exclusively white men or hunt for white men. That's why it was called White Hunters. Why do I bring this up? One of the guys, and I remember watching it, and I was like, okay. So this woman, she's just with a black man, but I guess he's a little bit lighter. And then I realized, oh, according to that movie, White Hunters, he's actually playing a white man because classifications differ. And I'm like, wow, he's just a light skinned black man. Like if he was in America, he would straight up just be a light complexioned black man, somewhat light complexion. Like he was like Kevin for crying out loud. And I realized, oh, he's playing a white man in this movie because by Nigerian classification, he is white. It's like, wow, it really varies from country to country. And that's what Mariah Carey is saying. She was like, to put it simply, in this country, I'm black because people love their classifications. And I remember I was with this not YouTube, Uber driver once who he was Jewish, right? And I don't want to say white skinned Jewish person, but he was like technically I did have a one of my chiropractors back when I lived in Maryland. He was a somewhat brown skinned Jewish man, you know? And this guy was a white skinned Jewish man. And we got to talking about his life experiences and stuff. And he's like, yeah, actually, because I always talk to Uber drivers, right? I talk a lot. And I asked him, so where are you from? And he's like, I'm actually from Russia. And what he said to me, and this is part of the reason, like he was wearing a yarmulke and everything. And he's like, I'm actually from Russia. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm like, so how do you like it here? He's like, well, in Russia, quite frankly, and it was so interesting that he told, anyway, just say it, Aaron, say it. He said, in Russia, quite frankly, I was a black man. I was seen as a black man in Russia. And that's how I was treated, complete with the second class citizenship and everything. That's how I was treated in Russia. And then I moved to America, and lo and behold, wow, I'm a white man here. And it's like, that's so interesting because race is a social construct. That's why it varies so much from country to country, from society to society. Like, we need to understand this. It's not, uh, anyway, we love putting people in boxes. And I will say, I meant to say this first. Oh my gosh. I remember one time I was with my first boyfriend who was a very light skinned black man, totally black, but just very light skinned. And I remember one time we traveled somewhere together and at the Greyhound, right? And he was wearing a bright red shirt. He didn't even think about that, but somebody asked him, "Hey, you blood?" And what he heard was what he was used to hearing people ask him is, "Are you black?" So he was like, "Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, yes, I am. What do I have to?" And I said to him, "I'm like, baby, no." He he asked if you were a blood because of your blood red shirt. He assumed that you were a blood, a part of his organization. And then he was like, "Oh, no, 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 I'm not that. I'm not." And it was like, "Okay, gotcha." Anyway, but yeah, like we love as a world, we love putting people in boxes. And that's just wild and ridiculous. Anyway, I'll also say I enjoyed the Breakfast Club very much, and I I feel that I particularly love Jess Hilarious because she has a very Baltimore accent, and she has a quick wit, and all of that reminds me of the woman that I say is the woman I would have married if I was a heterosexual man, but I'm not. And we're a little bit older in that we're 80. Well, I'm 83. She's 84. Just Hilarious is 92. Anyway, but yeah, I enjoy listening to Just Hilarious for that. And I do feel that it sort of takes me back to my 20s. I do feel that the reason Charlemagne the God pushed that question on Tyla is because, and he said this after, he's like, "Look, your people came here and it was she clammed up when the Charlemagne asked her that question, and they actually had to cut the audio for a minute, kind of. And her people, like for whatever reason, her handlers, were speaking in Spanish, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. And on the Breakfast Club, they did explain that one of the producers is a Puerto Rican man who speaks Spanish. So I guess they were just speaking to him and they were like, cut, cut, stop, stop, but keep the cameras rolling. But we've got to cut this out. And I think Charlemagne the God pushed that question because he was a little rubbed the wrong way because he said that her people came in and they were like, "You can't ask her this, you can't ask her that, you can't ask her this, you can't ask her that, you can't ask her this, and these are the only questions that you can ask her." Done. And Charlemagne was probably rubbed the wrong way by that. He was like, "F that, I've been doing this for many years, so I'm going to ask what I want to ask." And he did, and they did. Anyway, uh, I was talking with an Uber driver really quickly who was also from Africa, from West Africa. He was a brown complexion dude with like long curly hair or whatever. And he's like, "People always ask me, what race am I? Whatever, blah, blah, blah." here. He's like, people always ask me that. And he's like, I'm just African. That's just what I am. I'm, he's from Guinea. And I was like, that's interesting. And we talked about Tyla, and he was like, so what did she say? Well, what was her answer? And I was like, well, ultimately, Tyla closed up and did not answer the question. And he was like, good for her, good. And I was like, yes, I appreciated the fact that his accent reminded me of my love, my African love. Mm, I love it. Anyway, yes, yes, yes. Anyway, all right. Like, share, subscribe, share again, and please do not forget to click like. Thank you.
Hashtag kinda curated A19, subtitle parenting at tonight's conversation, hashtag verse TV A19B. If your child told you she was gay, how would you respond?
Ooh, that's a kind of difficult one. And honestly, it's like, okay, as a gay couple raising a child, if your child comes out as gay, like, wouldn't you be like excited? Like, hey, yeah, you're just like your daddy and daddy. Yes, I think that it's important to support your child, whatever they may be, gay, straight, whatever, you know? And we would want to support our children. My love and I would want to support our kids on whatever, wherever they are in the sexuality spectrum. The key is to raise the child with love, loving support. Mm. And if I would appreciate that the child tells us first, my love and I told us first, so we wouldn't have to wait for like a California teacher to give us the news, because in certain parts of California, it is an obligation of the teacher, and we discussed this weeks ago, but it is the obligation of the teacher to tell the parents if the child comes out to them, which is like, so I would appreciate that the child felt comfortable enough to tell us first about their sexuality, whatever it is. Now, I think eventually, as I think eventually the coming out process will be less of a thing to do as people actually become more comfortable with the fact that different people exist in the world. And until then, it will be. But once people are comfortable with that, like when my love and I have our child who's of age, it's, and don't even get me started on the whole adoption thing, because anyway, but I'd like to think that at that time it'll be a different world. And perhaps as long as the child knows they're supported, they will be comfortable with themselves. I know for myself, I I think what we should do is just talk to our kids, enjoy our kids' conversation. Should they uh, bring home a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whatever, just treat it all as normal. That's the key because it is normal. So I think that's an important thing. And I do think about my connection with my mom and how it did take me a while. I think part of that's because my internal, what's the word? Internally conservative self, traditionalist self, did not want to be gay, even though my mom would be like, Aaron, mothers always know. I'd be like, I don't know what you're saying. What do you mean? No, I'm not. I'm totally straight or whatever. And my mom would be like, okay. I think my mom did everything the right way, considering who she had as her son. Because where I was and where society was at that time, I was not yet ready to speak about such things. But I will say I am so grateful, hallelujah, that I was able to bring a boy home to my mom to meet. And I was like, Mom, this is my boyfriend. Okay. And my mom was like, well, it is a pleasure to meet you. Yes. My mom was so wonderful, so perfect. Yes. Uh, and yes, she was. Anyway, yeah. I think regardless of whatever your child is or reveals they are or feels they are or wherever they are, whenever, and don't give it well, that's just a phase, honey, because for some things might be a phase, maybe a homosexual phase, maybe a heterosexual phase, but let them be whoever they are, wherever they are, whenever they are, and respond to it with love. That is the key. Wherever your child ish, is, and yeah, don't get too excited either way, gay or straight. It's all normal. And yeah, just discuss those things with the child. Yeah. I'm very glad that I was able to bring him home. Anyway, uh, and all that, anyway, like, share, subscribe, share again, and do not forget to click like. Thank you. Click like. Thank you.
Hashtag underrated hype TV A19 Love Never Dies. Patti LaBelle Burnin. Circa 1991 at underrated hype TV. Hashtag verse TV A19C.
Yes. She said, keep your light shining, just like the sun, because love never dies. I, just like all the songs on Underrated Hype TV, I have loved that song for many years. And I will say, I particularly enjoy the fact that in that song, it has many movements, many parts within it, not just vocal moving, but like the song itself had. Anyway, if you know a thing about music theory, you know what I mean. many movements within the song. And I love, of course, the diva belting, right? Of course. And I love the live instruments. There is just something about live instruments. And I am a producer, right? I am an iPad producer, right? So I hate to say that I just make beats, but I make beats. I do. And there is something special about live instruments, live instrumentation. And that song had that. And yes, I did play that a little bit longer. We'll see upon the live if the live takes me down. Like, no, I just thought about that. We'll see. We'll see if the live takes me down. I don't know. But I fell in love with this used album of mine. I got it used from CD Game Exchange. And this was before my mom passed away. And after my mom passed away, I attached this particular song from that album, Burnin', to her and how love never dies. And, ooh, also, I posted this on YouTube, and I think YouTube will be okay. I think so. But I posted this on YouTube and on my Underrated Hype TV page. And when I post things, I don't always pay attention to the comments, not because I'm so famous, but because I just don't always get the time or take the time to. But I didn't realize for this song, this upload, I had a number of people in the comments talk about how much this song means to them. And that's part of the reason that I wanted to play it today. And I played so much of it because it is, a, like I said, I connected to my mom who has passed away. Rest in peace and glory. Oh, I have a lot of tangents. I won't go on them. But there were people also talking about their deceased parents and deceased family members and loved ones. And I think about myself and how I remember my old choir director used to always say, when we would be in choir rehearsal about like, and we would discuss certain things like, oh, I haven't experienced such a thing, or I don't know such a thing. And he would always just respond with, keep on living, keep on living. And oh my gosh, that is so true. That is so true. Keep living. And remember to live your truth. Remember, love never dies. And I remember, as far as attaching this song to my mommy, it was very, very, very difficult for me when my mom passed away. I did not take that well. I would, I know people say, oh, parents shouldn't be children's best friends at all. That's wrong. That's bad. pump your brakes. My mom was indeed one of my best friends. So when my mom passed away, I took it very hard. And I remember going to school and I had a little note written that I gave to the teachers because she passed away on a Saturday and I went back to school that Monday. And I remember the dean of School of Communications called me into a meeting with her. And I was like, okay, hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? And she's like, Aaron, I heard the news about your mom. I have one question for you. And this, okay, I'm much better than I was, but wow, I still feel emotion. But she's like, I have one question for you. Why are you here? And I started to, was trying to explain to her that, well, my mom's the type of person who would work through difficult situations and keep moving and keep going. And I know my mom would want to see me graduate from school. So, in my mind, I can't stop. I have to keep going. And while I was explaining that, I started bawling with tears. And again, friend of the family, Gail, suggested that I see a mental health counselor to deal with that. And I didn't. I was like, no, I'm okay. I guess I'll just keep going to school and it'll all work itself out in the end. And I remember years later, I went with Kevin to this natural MS healer dude, Noel Batten, and he explained that, among other things, people with MS, and this was in 2013. My mom passed away in 2006. And he's like, people with MS often have this difficult thing in life that they never dealt with correctly. And it's on the inside of them. And because of that, that leads to their body breaking down on them with MS symptoms. And I remember Noel Badden's wife would talk to us and give us like a little piece of a questionnaire, I guess, just to see where we were. And she sort of got into asking about my mom, who I thought I was totally fine. Like I was like, no, I'm okay. And I started talking, and the tears just started pouring down my face as I was explaining this. And ultimately, I see a mental health counselor now, and that was one of his recommendations. And that's his thing. For those of us who go to see him, he doesn't work magic. He tells us the things that we need to heal ourselves. It's not an instant go there and I'm all better. You can see improvement. I know when I went there to see him back in 2013, I would start having trouble walking after about a mile. I went to see him, did the whole week-long program. He used to have an office in Atlanta, but he said in COVID, he shut down the Atlanta office, and now he's only in his home country of Australia. And FYI, but he doesn't work magic. He gives us tips and tools to heal ourselves. And at that time, the workouts that he gave me, doing it after about 5 days, when I got back home, I went from having trouble walking after about a mile to being able to walk like 2.5 miles, no problem. He knows his stuff. And a lot of it's about you doing the right thing. And again, among other things, what they suggested was me going to a mental health counselor. And seeing a mental health counselor was marvelous and helped me a lot. And I remember it would seem like, perhaps to the outside naked eye, that when I would go to my mental health counselor, a whole lot of our sessions would be just me talking about boys and dating and all of that stuff. And yes, that was a part of it. And you have to realize this when seeing a mental health counselor. You will talk about a lot of things, and they take notes and get to know you so they can know what to help you with as they get to know you. And for example, with her, I was we would bring up my mom sometimes, and I would cry and such when I wasn't talking about a boy issues, dating stuff. And eventually what she said to me is, she's like, Aaron, FYI, think about your mom in terms of quantum physics. In quantum physics, energy never dies. Your mom's energy is still with you. And I don't know what it was, if it was that the quantum physics reference just felt more immediate than talking about going to the ancestral plane to meet your mom again. Her mentioning the quantum physics of energy never dying and my mom still being here, that was actually comforting to me. Love never dies. Energy never dies. Love never dies. They are still with you. My mom is still with me. Yes. And I do look up. We'll be together. My understanding of the higher power is so complex. Y'all wouldn't get it. I'm not going to say y'all wouldn't get it, but I don't have enough minutes. Anyway, positive affirmation time. Self affirmations. Aaron, you are a wonderful winner. Yes. Aaron, you are a beautiful catch. Yes. Yes. Aaron, you are intelligent. Yes. Aaron, you are stronger. Yes. You're building, rebuilding. Can't give up. Can't give up. You are a stronger winner. Yes. Aaron, you are determined not to give up. Can't give up. I love you, Aaron. I love you, Aaron. I love you, Aaron. Aaron, I love you. You are worthy of all the wonderful. Talk to you later. Hashtag Verse TV family. Peace. Hashtag VerseTV.com. Stay blessed. All right.